Hello everyone! This is a triple fire team for the Ultra Premier Cup. When you look at this team, the first thought might be that it's very unbalanced and it's just a meme team, especially since water is by far the most common type in the meta. 6 out of the 20 most used Pokemon are water types in Ultra Premier Cup above 2500 ELO. However, this is actually a legit team. Maybe not a top tier team, but to prove that this team actually works, I played only this team since Ultra League came back, so for 1 week basically. And I started at around 2600 ELO and went up and down for a few days. On Friday I started at 2699 ELO and then 25 sets later, during Go Battle Night on Monday, I managed to pass 3000 ELO to finally prove that Legend is reachable with triple fire. So now let's look at the team. I lead Charizard with Dragon Breath and then Typhlosion with Incinerate and Blaziken with Blast Burn in the back. The main idea is to overwhelm the opponent with Blast Burns, which is one of the best charge moves in the game. With this team, energy advantage and shield advantage are most of the time much more important than switch advantage, so that's what I strive to achieve. Every Pokemon in this team has a role. Charizard deals with dragons, which the backline struggles against, and Typhlosion is the main switch and is incredible at taking 1 or 2 shields to get that precious shield advantage for Blaziken, which is the closer and also is the main answer to Empoleon and Lapras. So now, let's have a look at the battles, which are from the set in which I finally reached 3000 ELO. And if you enjoy these kinds of spicy teams, HomeSliceHenry featured some of my best battles with a triple grass team, which I will link in the description. My first opponent is Dabby Trainer, and he leads with a purified Magnezone, so just as a note it might have return. But it's terrible for Dragon Breath Charizard and great for my backline, so of course I'm switching. And then my opponent made a charge move after 6 sparks, which means that if they switch, they can actually defer the damage from the third Incinerate onto whatever they switch into. So that Magnezone actually only took damage from 2 Incinerates, so it's still quite a lot of health. But my goal is to sweep with Blaziken, now that the Gallade, that likely is their best counter to Blaziken, is out of the way. So I'm saving both of my shields for Blaziken, and hopefully it can firstly destroy Magnezone and then with energy and shield advantage beat whatever is in the back. So here I KO Gallade and then I blindly switch into Blaziken, and then my opponent uses 5 more sparks before throwing, and since I have 2 shields I might as well use them now, even though I knew it was a mirror shot. And then my opponent goes into a Venusaur, so at this point it's completely over. With this much energy on Blaziken I will easily be able to handle the Venusaur, and then the Magnezone in the back is pretty much KO'd already, so my opponent resigns. My second opponent is Xanatos, and he leads with a Sylveon, so this is an okayish matchup, but I rather have some information about my opponent's backline, and they have a Kingdra in the back. And in this matchup, it's very important to go for the Blast Burn bait, because if I go for Solar Beam, it's still not going to take out the Kingdra if it connects, but usually they shield, since Solar Beam is the natural thing to go to, and if they shield a Solar Beam, then I'm not going to be able to reach a second Solar Beam. So then they will farm down with Dragon Breath all the way and just spam down my entire team, and I will lose to the Octazooka spam every time. But now they were forced to throw energy on my Typhlosion, and then I'm able to deal pretty cleanly with this Kingdra with my Charizard, and we are back where we started, but now their best fire counter is gone. So here I either deal heavy damage to this Sylveon or get the last shield for shield advantage with Blaziken. So now Blaziken really needs shields, it's very glassy, so I'm going to let my Charizard go down and farm down, and now with energy advantage Blaziken has a lot of good matchups, but Escavalier is one of the best, because I both outpaced the Escavalier and one-shot it with a Blaze Kick. So here my opponent leaves the game and let the Blaze Kick go through. My next opponent is Kakoftu in game number 3, and he leads with a Dragonite, so that's great for me that my backline doesn't have to face this Dragonite. But then I lag a little bit and miss 1 Dragon Breath, which is actually crucial for this game, because then I'm not able to hit the CMP tie with Dragon Claws and force a shield advantage. And instead I have equal shields and I could have been in a much better position. But anyways, this is definitely playable still, so I'm going to let the Surf go through and do 6 more counters before going for Blast Burn, because they are unlikely to shield and they are outside of Blaze Kick range, so of course I go for the Blast Burn. And then my opponent waits out the switch timer before coming back in with Dragonite and farms me down. So now I come back in with Charizard and use a few more Dragon Breaths before going for my Dragon Claw, and they are shielding. and then they come in with the Empoleon. So now I'm in a terrible spot, since they are going to be able to farm down all the way with the waterfalls before me reaching 2 Blast Burns. So that's unfortunate. My next opponent is Damon Cash, and he leads with a Sylveon, so once again I will play this in the same way as I did earlier and go straight into Typhlosion to kind of get some information about what he has in the back. And he decides to stay in, which is absolutely amazing. Firstly, because Typhlosion has a great matchup against Sylveon, but also this tells me he's weak to fire in the back, so this is kind of set up to be a good game for me. So I shield the Psyshock, since Typhlosion is my best answer to the Sylveon, and then use one more Incinerate to avoid the piggyback, and then go for another Blast Burn, and I get both of my opponent's shields. So now I have shield advantage and switch advantage, and this is just an amazing position for me. And then my opponent comes in with a Shadow Scissor against my Typhlosion, so I'm not able to get off the next Blast Burn, but I still connected with 2 Incinerates, which dealt like 60% of the health. And then I soak up the energy here, and I'm aiming to farm down with Blaziken, and likely I will be able to deal with whatever is in the back, and it's a Lapras. So this game was over when it started. Typhlosion just destroyed the Sylveon, and then Blaziken can sweep the rest. Moving on to the last game of the set against Wiggly Squiggly, and she leads with a Trevenant, which actually compared to other grass types is pretty bad for me to face, since it can both beat Blaziken and Charizard as long as it has shields. So I want to get rid of the shields and hopefully deal with a Trevenant with a Blast Burn later in the game. So luckily for me, my opponent went into a Lapras, and I'm going to shield the Surfs here, because if I don't shield the Surfs, then I will be in perfect farm run range for the Trevenant, and that would be disastrous if my opponent got energy advantage. So here I'm going for the next CMP tie, and my opponent is actually also deciding to double shield, which I'm completely fine with, because now I can just let my Blaziken go down, and then I can come in with Typhlosion and get basically 2 free Incinerates. So now I have a ton of energy, and my opponent comes back in with Trevenant and just sacrifices it completely, since it has no play against my Pokemon when shields are down. And then their last Pokemon is a Shadow Swampert, so the only way for me to get to a Solar Beam is to catch the Hydro Cannon with my Charizard, but then my opponent is not throwing their second Hydro Cannon onto Charizard, which means I reach a Dragon Claw, which actually puts the Shadow Swampert into Blast Burn range. So here I go for the CMP tie. Of course, Typhlosion has higher attack stat, and it's able to knock out the Swampert. So that's it. It's a 4-1 run to finally pass 3000 ELO to prove that Legend is reachable with triple fire. And thanks for watching.